way behind again with sizing. They're screaming at me to get their paper. I need it on Monday for 4 more of our printers, so I'm sorry. It's another sizing stream. It's too bad for 2 reasons. One is it's not so interesting up here. I'd rather be downstairs carving. And second is the weather. I want the outside camera today. There's a typhoon approaching. No typhoon here yet, but it's on the way. It's not a big deal. It's not a big one. It's just a low pressure storm, I guess. In fact, by the time it gets to Tokyo later tonight, it may just be a rainstorm. We've got a weather link for anybody that's curious about it, but let's see. So although we are technically getting hit by a typhoon today, there's nothing. It's just, right now it's monsoon type rain. So there's no, whipping over trees and stuff like that. Here's the link I usually use to track the typhoons here. The big yellow circle is sort of the rough, visible clouds, and the circles off to the right are they're the estimated position at the center. So tonight it'll be raining here heavily all day long, and tonight it might get a little bit windy, whatever. And all the printers have booked off today. Even if they were going to be working anyway, they've booked off. So it's just me in the building today. Just me. And sizing, I am so far behind on sizing. I'm gonna waffle a bit here because the temperature here. I came up this morning an hour or so ago, put the glue. I'm using leftover glue from yesterday. I made 4 liters yesterday, used 2 liters of it, and put 2 liters in the fridge. So I dumped that into the pan here about 2 hours ago, but I came up after I got my shower and I didn't have my glasses with me, and I set the temperature too low. So I set it to 40 degrees. And just now when I'm getting ready to get going, I look at it, it seems something strange. So I've cranked it up to 50 degrees about 10 minutes ago. So we're going to have to wait a couple of minutes till it gets to speed, till it gets up to speed. But I won't be cooking a new batch today. We're just going to be using the batch that's already in here. No need for the paper out. There's nothing on the fridge. It's blank today. But it's this week. It's been great because they're all vaccinated. All of our printers are fully vaccinated. We open the door at each end. We get air going through it. There was one day this week when we had 4 printers working here together again, just like the good old days. Ishikawa-san, Dei-chan, Sugu-san, and Ayumi is back. Vaccinations for the win. Vaccinations. And then the needs, the requirements. I know those of you who've been following our stuff for the past few months, few years, whatever, you know that earlier this year, back in the spring, we temporarily lost 3 of our outside printers, Kubota-san, Chiharu-san, and Yamamoto-san. We lost 3, and outside, Kubota-san took them for an outside job. And then Ayumi-san was off because she had just had a baby. So we had lost 4 out of our 9 printers, which was a big hit for us because during the summer we wanted to print heavily all summer long so that we could then have prints ready for the autumn busy season. But now they're back. That big project that Kubota-san had done earlier in the year is now finished, and he and Chiharu-san and Yamamoto-san are back. Ayumi-san did arrange daycare. Her baby is in daycare, so we now have 9 people, and they are hungry, which means me. Every sheet of paper for every one of our printers has to go across this bench. I see them twice. I see the paper here as we do the sizing. It goes out to the printers, and I see every sheet as it comes back from the printers as we check it and pull chitty and do stuff like this. So I'm a bottleneck at 2 stages along the way. How's our temperature doing? We are, I think, perhaps okay. We are maybe perhaps okay. Give the brush a minute to soften up there. So sizing and sizing. We have sizing and we have dimensioning. No idea where the word came from. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. The page counter. We have in the stack here, we have, just a minute, no, 20, got 30, we have 40 sheets of paper in the stack today, 40. And this is the paper for the November subscription print. You saw the rabbit the other day, that's out of the way, so you know what's coming up, the November print. And people have been asking me when I do that, pulling up the chitty, Dave, why don't you do it before you start the prints? We can't. You can't just take a stack of paper like this and start pulling chitty. If I look at it here, where am I here? There's maybe a tiny black dot. It looks, you know, based, okay, there's one. Okay, there's one. There is a black dot. And if I got onto the surgery table right now, I could maybe take out some of these right now. But I would still have to do it again after the end of the process anyway. They have tricked me into being the sizing king. No, it's just a question of my bad management style. So as somebody says, those dots, that black dot that we just looked at, could quite possibly be in the middle of a completely printed area. So it just wouldn't be a productive way to do things. And also to remember, when it gets to the printers, they flip through the stack because they need 2 or 3 or 4 sheets for testing anyway. So when it gets to the printers, they also too, they're not stupid about this. Okay, we're on a hot table, we're on a hot carpet. This thing has been warming up for an hour or so. This is warm. The paper has been warming up. The paper is warm. Everything is warm, ready to go. And the room temperature is 28. We're using a 50-gram mix in the glue today. We are protected. The first sheet, I don't want the first sheet to slide, so we just tack the first sheet onto the board. Once they're stacked up, it doesn't slide, but the first sheet will slide on the board. Someone's asking about the fiber. Stairway coming up from upstairs, our in-use paper stock, and then what you were asking about a moment ago was this. It's actually Kozo fiber from a few years ago. There was a bit of a sort of semi-panic a few years ago where a couple of the places that had been making Kozo fiber quit and shut suddenly. We heard from our normal paper maker that he couldn't give us exactly all the requirements we wanted because there'd been a shortage of fiber. So we went out there and we bought about, whatever, I forget, 100 kilograms or so of dried Kozo. And I think the joke was, this is our paper futures. We can't buy pieces of paper, you know what I mean. It's a bank of mulberry fiber. It's not the optimum way to do it because the paper makers ideally would like to use the fresh stuff. If it's fresh, it's harvested that year, they boil it up to separate the fibers. It works best, so we hear, when it's fresh. But having said that, it just simply It will actually basically last forever if you just keep it dry. It's just totally, absolutely dried out, crinkled up, inner white bark from a mulberry plant. As long as we don't let it get damp, it would get moldy and musty. As long as we keep it dry, we are okay. So we are told. We've never made paper, of course. So it's kind of a bank. It may come in use one day, it may not. We don't know. We don't know. Okay, let's get to work here. Oh, Francis is here. William's here. William, you want to get busy? Make some paper? You want to try some? If you want to try making your own paper, give me a call. So, William wants paper. He wants paper. And we've got our own supply of it, of course, but I can't become a paper distributor. We can't get enough for our own use and to be able to sell the stuff, you know. And even if I did, even if we started selling it, I know what would happen. People would complain. There's too much bark in it. And I do not want to be in that kind of a business. So this is how many Hosho sheets can come. I can't remember at the moment. Back when we were buying this, we did get some numbers to take. I don't remember. We did learn to make X numbers of paper for X numbers of great wave prints. It took X kilograms of fiber. I totally don't remember. I'm sorry. If I gave you a number now, it would just be out of my whatever. Okay, let's get some work done. I think the temperature is okay. I've been delaying because I really wanted this thing to be hot enough, but I think now we're okay. Let's do this. Yeah, William's desperate for good paper. I know. Talk to me about it. I know. There's nothing I can do, you know. We've got tons of it here, but I don't have enough that I can start selling it. Just no way. Okay, let's go. Well, they're not stalks. It's a bit misleading because they've all curled up and they look like they're sort of round stalks. They're not. It's flat. If you take a small tree about, say, 3 inches in diameter and pull off the outside bark, then the inside bark, it opens out flat and then they dry it. So what you're seeing that looks like stalks, it's not. It's a flat surface rolled up as it dried. Did you see whatever? I woke up this morning checked my mail and stuff, and I saw the scandal that burst overnight on social media. Japan is in lockdown, cold Japanese style lockdown. Tourism is completely stopped. Nobody comes in the country. It's all shut down. And on Twitter, I guess last night, some German rapper, I forget his name, starts with a Z or something. It starts with a Z. Some German rapper. There's some kind of music festival happening here in Japan next week or something. And they've hired this German rapper DJ. I'm sorry, excuse me, let me get the story right. They've hired this German DJ. And nobody quite knows how this is working. Obviously there's money and stuff flowing in the background, who knows. He is here. He arrived in Japan yesterday. A tourist coming in for work. He's arrived. He's in quarantine he said on his Twitter, he said, I've been quarantined for 3.5 days. Let me show you my quarantine dates. And he took his Twitter thing and he showed the video, about a 2-minute long video, of the most glorious, large, fabulous hotel you could possibly be imagined. And he's crying the blues because he's got to be in quarantine for 3.5 days. And the country is closed. It's not legally possible to get in here. There are family members who have been separated for over a year who can't get back together again. And this dude, this clueless dude, is showing this video from his hotel room complaining about 3.5 days of quarantine. So what is happening here? I really didn't think Japan was like that, a kind of country where the big company puts the money under the table and you get what you want. You know, this is not supposed to be that kind of country. John Becker's got it, money, I guess. Zed. If you look on Twitter or something, it's the guy, tweeted it last night. Z-E-D-D, a Canadian can't spell this. Z-E-D-D, I think is the guy's name. A clueless idiot. Or I don't know what happened. Maybe he doesn't even know. Three and a half days quarantine. What's that? If I had any say in this or power, if he'd do his 3.5 days quarantine, he'd be escorted to the airport, straight out of here. Doesn't matter how many shots you got, there's still a minimum 2-week quarantine for even the, if I go out, I can come back because I'm a resident. Somebody coming in on a student visa or a work visa can't come in, or a tourist visa, they're not permitted. There are people who have work visas, they have student visas. They're trying to get back in to go to work or to go to college with a job that's already teed up. There are people who got a job, rented an apartment just before this thing hit, and they're still stuck outside. They can't get in to do the work. This guy comes in on a whatever work visa to do a D-Day job, and he's here. This is unbearable. Not to mention the fact they're having a music festival in the middle of a lockdown. Like, what? Anyway, shut up, Dave. It's okay. Is somebody counting? Do we know how many we've done? He's quarantining in the most expensive hotel in the place. Presumably his own money, I guess. But that's not a government service. Has somebody got the link to the guy on Twitter? Someone's got the video. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The hotel room in that video, you know. I don't know. People like that. I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. You know. You got to see that hotel room, you know, just whatever. It's going well. It's good. It's smooth. You know, once it's wet, actually, I can move the camera without danger to show. It's not going to bang anything. Once it's wet, because it's wet paper, you can see more of the bark. And there are places now that we can see this. That was invisible a moment ago, but now because the paper is wet, it's visible. But we're into it now. You get a piece of wet paper, I can't start digging and excavating bark now. And those two also, once the print is finished, maybe those specifically won't be visible. But once the paper's wet, you can see them. It's too bad. The print that's going to appear on these, sheets, it's a fun one. I can't talk to you too much about it yet. You'll see it as it's coming up as we're, doing it at the next stage. This is the 11th print in the series, and it's a bird. It's a bird and flower series, so it's a bird. But it's a bird with a problem. I shouldn't do this, but whatever. When you see this, the people in the shop, in the staff here, they have seen all the designs and stuff for the series coming up. And when I've showed the people here the design for next month's print, for the 11th print, I would say, okay, that's nice, yeah, that's nice. And then I wait a minute, and I say, that's nice, right? But don't you see something strange about it? And they say, what do you mean something strange about it? I say, look at that print. There's something really, really quite strange about it. And they say, no, it looks like it's a bird and flowers and a tree and whatever. I'm saying, okay, well, there's something going on with this print that if I tell you, once I tell you, you can never unsee this. It's that kind of a design. So stand by when we get it ready in a couple of weeks from now. You too will be able to enjoy the mystery there. What is wrong with this print? So. There was one Nabe-san downstairs, and we had this conversation. And once we had talked about the bird design, the idea that once I explain this and once you see it, you can't unsee it. We talked about that kind of a concept. And I had jumped into the idea there's lots of things in the world that are not quite as they seem to be. And I out of the top of my head, I said, for example, there's Tchaikovsky's Fifth Symphony. We've talked about this here, right, before? I don't remember what we've talked about and what we haven't talked about. The idea that once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. And it's the same thing with Tchaikovsky's Fifth Symphony. That I used to enjoy the thing completely. It's a music of its period, that late Romantic era, of course. I used to enjoy it, and back in the time when I was training to be a flutist and a conductor, I got the score and I read it and I enjoyed Tchaikovsky's Fifth Symphony and stuff. But somewhere along the line, a few years back, I realized something about it that has completely spoiled it for me, totally spoiled it for me. And I would like to unsee that. I would like to unhear that, but I can't. And she and I were talking about this concept, that there are things like this that you've seen, pictures or whatever. And she semi-joked about it, that that's one of the burdens of being, quote, old. You know, she's 30 or 30-something. I am more than double that. And at her age or whatever, she hasn't had this experience very often. But at Dave's age, he has had this experience all over the place, you know. There's things that I know that I wish I didn't know. So. So you're curious. Of course you're curious, but the thing is, this is a thing. If you like music, and if you like that music, if I told you this, you won't like it anymore. So it's like some kind of poison. It's a sweet kind of poison. You want to taste it, you want to know about it, but once you do know about it, oh, I wish I hadn't learned that. So I don't know. Write me an email or something, whatever. I can't sit here on a live stream and destroy stuff for people, you know. It's raining. It is buckets. The rain is just pouring straight down. It's a concrete roof and I can still hear it. There's no wind. We're not getting tossed around yet, but it is raining. It'll come and go during the day. There'll be times when the rain backs off. It's, you know, we're in the outer arms of that typhoon. Let me check outside. Let me look outside. Yeah, it's just sheets, just buckets and buckets and buckets of water. Oh, same in Vancouver. It's my mom here. Good morning, Mom. Same in Vancouver. Raining buckets. Heavy wind. No wind here yet. It'll be windy here later this afternoon as the typhoon arrives, but no wind here yet. I got myself into a jam. What can I say? Talk too much. This is actually a perfect day for sizing. It's really good. The paper already before I start, because of the high humidity today, it's over 70% humidity here. It says 72% humidity, so the paper's already quite, it's not wet, but it's damp. So putting this glue in, the moisture will easily smooth out. Because it's warm, it doesn't dry quickly. And because it's so damp, it will dry very, very, very slowly. It will be dry by evening, but it's going to take a long time. So this is a perfect day for sizing. It's what I'm going to be doing this afternoon as well. I'm doing this batch this morning on stream. This is the paper for the 11th month print, November print. Then this afternoon, I will be doing more for Kubota-san. Seeing the roof there, the tin roof there next door, that's the roof of the place called Hotaru-do, the antique shop next door. If you walk down our street, you'd never notice it because it's hidden behind all the other buildings. It's only the people who know it's there that will go and see it. They have an interesting event coming up this week, starting today actually. There's a movie company is making a movie in and around that antique shop. It's not a movie about the antique shop. They are borrowing it from him to use as a set. I have no idea what the movie is about. It's a Japanese-based, Japanese-produced, Japanese movie, something the characters are an antique dealer or whatever. And they are using the antique shop here as a set for the movie. So one of the staff members from there came over, not the antique staff members, the movie crew. One of the movie crew people came over yesterday, asked to speak to me, and then she gave me the schedule that they're going to be doing filming and parking trucks and stuff like this. And she's apologizing for all the inconvenience, blah, 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 blah. It's slowing down there. It's not so bad. As I said, the rain will come and go during the course of the day. Actually, he calls himself an antique shop, but it's not really antiques, I think. I don't know what the word means. The generic term for antique is just obviously old junk, but what he deals in is he deals in early 20th century objects. It's the Taisho early Showa era. So it's just 100 years ago. It's the 20s. If you imagined a shop, an antique shop in New York that specialized in stuff from the roaring 20s era, you know, dresses and fashions and hats from that era, clothing for the men, and then the Tiffany lamps or whatever it was that defined that era. That's his business here. So it's not an antique shop in the sense of stuff 400, 500, 600 years old. It's basically a time capsule. A pre-war Japan time capsule is his shop. And the guy himself, I don't know, he personifies this. He and his wife have switched their life pretty much all over, everything they can switch. I joked to them about this, you know, do you do pre-war dentistry when you get a toothache? And he laughs at me, no, of course not. But they wear pre-war clothes. He's got an antique bicycle. The shop's normally open. It's just a normal shop. He's closed Mondays and Tuesdays because that's when he gets in goes out hunting for stuff in the countryside. He's normally, in a normal era, he's open Wednesday through Saturday. This next couple of weeks, it's completely closed down for the movie. He's a real nice guy. There's lots of blog and information out. If you search for Hotaru Do, I'll put the Japanese name in. If you type this Japanese into Google, look for images. That's the Japanese name of his company. Put that in Google, you'll get images back, and you'll see images of his shop, I'm sure. John didn't know about this. I'm sorry, John. I never would have thought, what to mention to people or what not. I'm sorry. I didn't know that you didn't know. There's history in that building. That building he's in used to be connected to the building that was previously here before the war for this building. His building is pre-war. This building isn't. This part of it didn't make it through the firebombing. That part did. And his building there, part of it at the bottom was the pantry. He has an actual basement carved out that was the pantry where they kept food and stuff in the era before refrigeration, whatever. And the first floor and second floor were the kitchens for the restaurant here. And then upstairs, it was part of the back room entertainment. And he's taken me upstairs. There's no actual staircase there. It's gone long ago. There's now sort of it's like a ladder that you have on a boat. What's it called when you get up into a boat? And there's a hallway upstairs with a bunch of small little rooms. And each room is maybe 2 tatami mats in size. And you go in one tatami mat space, and there's a raised platform, which is the second tatami mat space. And they're bunks. And it was the back room. Okay, there is our first pass. We have come to the front. We now need to flip it. Just a minute here. I'm going to be really careful of that connection. Our net connection is that thing. It's the Thunderbolt. And if I touch that, we go down. So I have to be really careful here. did somebody say? Asakusa people were frisky back then, like nobody else was. It's a row of small rooms. There's 4 of them, maybe 4 of them or 5 of them. I don't remember. 4 or 5 of them, and they're really nicely. It's funny, you go in that hallway where those little rooms are, and it's not crap construction. There's beautiful bamboo detailing. I know those of you who've been in my building, the old party room with the special ceiling and stuff like that. That's what the 3rd floor of his place is like. It is expensive decor. So even though the rooms were small and utilitarian, it was high class. High class. And the rooms are still there, and he uses them now just for storage. He stores, antique goods and stuff like that. So. Shh, you didn't see that. No, the ladder is nowadays. In the old days, there would have been a staircase there. When the building was repurposed, it was heavily renovated, and the 3rd floor was abandoned. So when he took over the building, he says he thought there was an attic up there. He didn't know that there was an actual fully fledged 3rd floor. So he uses the 1st floor, the kitchen space, 2nd floor, and at some point he poked around to see what's up in the attic. And he found out that there's actual rooms and a hallway up there. So he rigged up this, what's it called, a companionway ladder like they have in boats? I don't know. So in the old days, there would have been a normal for Japan. Still, it would have been a steep staircase. And all he's using it for now is just storage. But he took me up there. He said, Dave, I got something I want to show you. so. And I don't know if they're going to use that part in the movie or not. I have no idea I don't know what the movie is about or anything about it. But if they go to town, then they can really use some special secret locations in Asakusa. It's great. It's a totally condemned building, absolutely condemned. He's probably using it for free. He doesn't own it. It's worthless. It's absolutely worthless. There's a plot of land. We have a jagged shaped block with buildings all around the block. And at one point there's a tiny alley, and he's got the space in the middle. And he has no access to the outside except through a narrow, it's about this wide. There's a narrow pathway between 2 of the buildings. That's the only access. If the fire department knew about this or had any power here, this would be shut down ages ago. It's an absolute death trap. A 60, 70, 80-year-old wooden building with 3 stories and no exits. I'm ashamed to be living in a city that allows this sort of stuff. The owner can't sell it, nobody can buy it, you can't build anything there. The only hope for the future for that thing is whoever could buy that and buy some of the neighboring buildings so it becomes a larger lot that has access to the street. That's, you tear them all down and away you go. Back at the point when a couple of years ago, when we were thinking about maybe we should try and swing it, we should try and buy this building, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Of course, part of that would be to talk to those people and try and buy that one too. Because if you've got that extra space, because it's worthless, worthless, worthless. There's hidden stuff all over the place. Somebody's mentioning the haunted places in Asakusa. There's stuff everywhere. Across the street from us here, there's the hotel, there's the bag lady. Remind me about that. There's what used to be the real estate agent, which somebody is now moving into. Next to it's a bar, then the whale restaurant, then the cafe. And upstairs from the cafe is a dance hall, or what used to be a dance hall. Back in it would be the 1950s. That building also was post-war. There's a dance hall there, just gathering dust. I've seen pictures of it. It's got stained glass windows, it's got chandeliers. I think it's got one of those springy little floors, and it's just sitting there unused, gathering dust. So even in this block that I know about, there's all kinds of stuff, and every block must have its own stories. Just when you mentioned that NHK program, I wasn't going to talk about it. So whatever. So NHK came. They were featuring me, and they wanted me to show them what's some of your interesting stuff. Dave's Asakusa. What does Dave know about Asakusa? So I gave him a list of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 places, and he said no. Oh, that sounds good, and we went over there. So the Hotaru-do was included in that NHK program. But we had to visit on the first Sunday of every month. He has a miniature dance party there in the basement. So of course, once NHK heard about this, they roped me into that. You have to wear Taisho era clothes. So that's what the program was about. I think they gave me a wizard hat and a cape and all kinds of stuff. I don't know, NHK puts that program, NHK rotates the video on demand, so that program will come up once every year or something like that. I don't know. I don't have any link to it. I don't even remember the name of the program. Tokyo Deep? No. I just don't remember. I had to wear socks. I had to wear socks, had to wear the clothes they gave me, had to wear their hat, I had to dance. And they even asked us to sing, and that's the point where I got off the bus. But to interrupt this program then, the partway through, we were talking about the next door. Across the street, the hotel, the bag lady, next door to it, the little triangular shop that used to be a real estate agent is closed. They gave up about 6 months or 7 or 8 months ago. I have no idea. And it's been empty since then. And every now and then, every month or so, we see somebody come over with a real estate agent, and they unlock it, and the guy's got his clipboard, and they negotiate, and they go up and take a look, and then they go away. And we're thinking, well, maybe somebody's going to rent it. And this has happened, about monthly or so since that place closed down. Turns out somebody has booked it. There's a young crew in there. They're kids. They're like 25 years old or something. There's 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And I think it's a young couple who are going to run the place, and they've got a bunch of their friends in to help fix it up. They are going into business. They start October the 1st. What is their new business? What is their new business? When I heard this, I went over there to chat with the girl just for fun. I went to introduce myself and say, hi, how are you doing? And I was a bit worried, actually, because what I had seen was, while they're doing their renovations, I had seen them coming out one by one and going into the hotel. And I can guess they still haven't got their water and stuff turned on, so they've got no toilet. So they're running into the hotel next door to use the toilet, and I know those people don't like this. So I went over to chat with her and said, look, I can see what's going on. We had the same problem 7 years ago when we did our own renovation. We can't use the toilet. So I said, our shop is okay, there's no customers right now. Please make yourself at home, use our toilet. And he said, okay, really? I said, look, we're closed, no customers, use the toilet, blah, 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 blah. So I chatted with her for a while. They're opening a new little shop. And when she told me what's going on, I said, I just chin dropped. I couldn't believe it. I said, there, in that building? Really? And she said, yeah, what's wrong? I said, well, it's kind of small. And she said, no, that's not a problem. I will type in Japanese what she told me. That's their business. All I know is I didn't ask her for details. She was busy. As soon as I heard this, I went straight back to my email and I told Shiba-san, our staff Shiba-san, I told her this. And I had told Shiba-san, look, that space, and the Japanese word I used was semi. That space is so narrow. How are they going to do the shuriken? And Shiba-san said, it doesn't matter how narrow. She said, narrower is better as long as it's long and deep. I said, there's no depth. It's 3 meters deep. It's about 4 meters wide, 3 meters deep, and it's cut off as a triangle. I have no idea. I'll try and chat with her later. She was too busy. And I'm like, there's 2 things. There's no room for this. And 2, there's no foreigners. I mean, what's going on? So when I was chatting about it yesterday with Watanabe-san and Yamada-san, they said, what it probably is, it's going to be a promo. There's a movie coming out next year or something, and this is going to be one of the promos for it, or a video game, or an anime or something. And I'm like, well, yeah, maybe, but this is not a big corporate thing. This is just a young couple with some of their friends building this. If it was a corporate PR company building this thing, I would get that. Actually, please, Google around. Maybe they've got some social media already. I have no idea. I didn't search anything yet. I don't know. VR, yeah, maybe they're moving in chairs. Everybody sits in a chair, puts goggles on. Really? I should try it out when they open. I don't know. The Demon Slayer shop is still open. They have their activity actually. The Demon Slayer shop is open in an unused hotel, and they have sub-locations all over Asakusa. And what they've done, they've got what they call a stamp rally, or it's a picture rally. You register at the Demon Slayer goods shop, and then they give you this thing. It's an app that goes on your phone, and you have to find all the locations. And when you get to the location, it's one of these cardboard cutouts with a face thing. You put your face in the back and do this and take the selfies and whatever. And I guess if you collect them all, you get something. So we see people these days running around Asakusa trying to find all the Demon Slayer stations. And I suppose the first day it was fun, but after that people just post them on social media and then that's it. So, you know. We're running a little bit late here today. We're running a bit late. I'm okay. I guess I can get this done, but we're running a bit late. I do have a show and tell prepared. I don't know whether we'll do it or not, though. I have lots of sheets to go here, and we still have to hang them. So there's no way I'm going to be finished before 9:30. So I don't know. I maybe should have pulled some of the sheets out before we started and timed it to do how many sheets. I don't know. The book I selected for show and tell today from the collection downstairs. It's hot. I looked at it this morning, brought it upstairs. Maybe if we have time we'll look at it. And I hadn't really realized, but it is hot merchandise. It fell off the back of a truck, it seems. Did Dave make new brushes with the goat hair? No, the goat hair is in storage, sitting, waiting. The mulberry fiber is in storage, sitting, waiting. Everything's in storage, sitting, waiting. We are just simply trying to get through our daily work, day after day after day after day. Lots of projects we'd love to do. We'd love to experiment with sizing. We'd love to try making paper, brushes, you name it. But I'm a failure. We're just all we can do is our normal work. I'm sorry. So it's not illicit goods, but well, I can tell you, it's an old library book. It's a library book with all the library stamps inside it. And usually, I remember, I think there was a library sale. The library in Vancouver, whatever, would have a sale, books they're moving out. And they put them on a counter and you buy them. But inside the book, they put the mark on the stamp. They put discard or rejected, or they tear out the page with the library stamps or something. This beautiful book of woodblock prints has library catalog numbers on the front. It has a library catalog number on the back, and it has all the stamps inside. Show a 31 entered into the library of this university, blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't have any canceled marks. So it looks like what I have is a book that at some point, some student, it's a university library, a university that still exists here in Tokyo. And I got it, whatever, in a batch of old prints and something. So what's the ethical guideline here? It looks like it was removed from a library without authorization. And it's stamped Showa 31, which is 19... Showa 31, 1956, kind of, yeah. John beat me that time, so. And of course, cue up the library book overdue jokes, of course. So. Have I contacted the library? No, I haven't. I've done nothing on it. The thing is that it may have been, I looked it up on Wikipedia this morning, the place. And the book itself that I've got, it's stamped inside, Library of Ueno Gakuen, in old-fashioned characters. And it says 1956, it's in there. And I checked on the Wikipedia page, and that institution closed in 1958 and became the new Ueno Gakuen Daigaku. So the fact that just 2 years after this book was stamped with these things, that library ceased to exist and the institution changed to a university. Does that mean that they discarded a bunch of stuff and that's why this all came out onto the market? Or simply not? I don't know. It's a nice book. It's a book of woodblock prints. I think there's 12 inside. Almost certainly we're not going to have time to see it today. We'll look at it next time. Doesn't matter. And Dave's whatever, the loose ethical sense for me says, no, it's an old book, who cares, doesn't matter, I didn't steal it. The tight ethical sense says I should contact the library. I don't know. Contact NHK. I see someone's talking about the British Museum exhibit on the Hokusai book. This has been known. They scooped that book a year or so ago here in Tokyo. And the British Museum put up a new video. I think it was yesterday or the day before. They put up a new video from one of their curators discussing that book. I think somebody's linked to it here. Did you see the Hokusai blah blah blah, Hokusai blah blah blah? So they have this exhibition on the Hokusai book. They put up a video about it, and if you read the comments on the British Museum video on YouTube, there's a bunch of people writing in there saying, let Dave Bull know about this and he will want to make this book. So it is indeed a good idea. It is indeed a perfect idea from the British Museum, like those people are suggesting. It's a perfect idea. What am I going to say about it? It's mulberry fibers, not the cheaty kind of mulberry fiber. It's actual mulberry fiber. There's little bits of it now started to go into the sizing. When I'm doing the back side of these sheets, we have mulberry fiber, bits of it here. There's one here. There's a piece of mulberry fiber right here that has been wiped off. The brush picks this up, it gets back in the tank, and then if it's in the tank, it gets picked up on the brush here, and then it gets applied to the paper, and I'm gluing then strands of mulberry to the top of the paper. Well, the rain has stopped. It's not raining here at the moment. It will come and go all day long. If someone's asking about the book, I think the British Museum was already selling a book. They have made a reproduction book of the set. I think that's already available along with their commentary. Oh, we are running late, 9:10. Look at this. All of this paper is going to become the same print. We need about 200 copies of this print, of our subscription prints every month. And as you see, we're a single sheet of paper. This is half. I cut them in half before starting, and we will make 4 prints from this single sheet of paper. And this will be the November print of this year's series. It's going well today. It's okay. I had a slip up at the beginning there. Someone's asking, is the paper real stringy? I'm not sure what you mean. It's Japanese washi mulberry paper, quite strong. These are wet sheets and I can move them around, handle them, no problem. Some say the paper is expensive. I guess what expensive means depends on your point of view. The what you're seeing here is half. If you imagine a sheet that's twice as big as this, that's how we buy it. Those are called obosho. And I believe the last price we had was just about 1,100 yen, just over 1,000 yen. So it sounds like $11 for a piece of paper. To me, that is an insanely cheap deal. Don't tell the paper maker, but we would happily pay much more than that. We're going to make 8 woodblock prints from this. A sheet of paper that cost me $11/$12. I'm just speaking dollars because people know that easier. And we will make 8 prints out of this. There's spoilage along the way. There's missed sheets along the way. There's dose that doesn't go well. There's spoiling. But for the most part, they go through well. This is not, I think it's not expensive at all. I'm astonished at how cheap it is. Not cheap, but how we can get it for this price. When they get larger, they exponentially get more expensive. And not just in a per centimeter square size. They're much more difficult to make when they're larger. So the larger sheets are more expensive, not just by surface area price, but they're more expensive on a per centimeter price. Per square centimeter price. Okay, those of you who have seen this before, you know what is happening. You're going to give me the script, right? For those of you who don't know what's happening here, I have to move to the next room, which means I move my camera first, then I move the paper, and then I move the computer. And as part of that, we might lose our internet connection because I'm not on Wi-Fi, I'm wired, and wiggling the cable is trouble. So anyway, for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to be involved moving this. If the stream dies, don't worry, the chat stays up. Talk to your friends, and we will come back alive in 2 or 3 minutes. Step 1 is to turn off that microphone and put up, step 1 is to shut down the main camera and move the camera. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Somebody says we're back. We made it. Did we make it? Font size is back up. I thought we made it. I showed green all the way. Did it go down? Sorry about that, if so. Okay, let's do this. Let's move that out of the way. Hang on one sec. Let's get that out of the way. Whatever. Again, for the newbies here, this is the next room. We are going to hang the paper up on the ceiling. There are strings along the ceiling on which the paper is going to hang. I don't have a wide enough view with my camera to show everything at the same time. I'm sorry. We'll take a break and pan back and forth bit by bit. The microphone is there, should be okay. And this is going to take a while. We've got, what, 40 sheets here, did I say? So there's 20 pairs. And we're using our patented clips. We don't need all 3 today because well, we could, yeah, I guess we should. Okay, let's do 3. And up they go. And we've explained many times before, the sheets are now going back to back. I'm flipping one but not flipping the second one so that the sheets can be hung up back to back. They don't really stick together, so it doesn't matter. I could just hang them up bang bang as they are. Why do I hang them in pairs? It helps them to dry more slowly. I've learned at the beginning, when I first started doing this, I hung each sheet up one by one by one. And they dried very quickly. With open to the air on both sides, they dried out quickly, and we got lots of creasing. And I don't know the word. What's the word when it goes like a wibble wobble on a sheet of paper? It's not a crease. It's in Japanese it's called shiwa. You know, if the paper became wavy. I don't know what English word to use. But by hanging them up 2 at a time, it forces them to dry slower, and we get no waviness. They come out of this beautifully, beautifully flat. And another way, we have a plastic sheet. I will be closing off the rack here. As soon as I'm finished, we close it off with plastic. It's not hermetically sealed, but it does help them dry, as I said, more slowly. Ripple, is that the word? Maybe, yeah, whatever. It's a joo. So 2 by 2, back to back, in a closed room. There's no way we could do this with the windows open. They would dry much too quickly. A wibble wobble, yeah, whatever. So. And I will be doing this pretty much all day today. I'm doing this first batch now on the stream, but then I'm going to cook up more fresh dosa size this afternoon for a stronger batch for Kubota-san. So this is my job today for sure. We've also, what's today? Today's Saturday. We maybe talk about this more on Monday. Next Monday is a national holiday in Japan. It's my day. It's a holiday. It's a holiday for me. I don't actually get a holiday, but whatever. Next Monday is a national holiday on behalf of me and a few other people in the same situation. But we will be here. There will be a normal stream on Monday. I don't know what I'll be doing. By the time we're done, we will have a row of it there. But Monday for me, Monday and Tuesday are going to be interesting days. Interesting in quotation marks. This is Saturday, so Cameron's not here today, but Cameron knows what's going on. The next week is our changeover. I've spent the last few months building a brand new software suite to handle our subscriptions. The old software that I built years and years ago, nearly 20 years ago, the old software has been patched so many times and adjusted and adapted so many times, it's not even close to being able to control our business anymore. So Cameron and I, with his advice and requests as a user, and Dave as the designer and coder, I've built a new system. And Monday, Tuesday is the first actual test of it. We are taking a sample group of subscribers, maybe some of people from this stream, whatever. There's a sample group of a dozen or so people who are going to be the first guinea pigs, and we are going to run them in the system on Monday and Tuesday. And based on what I learned from that, I will be, fixing the software errors, doing some more testing. And then if it all goes well, on the 1st of October, we switch over to the new system. And the complete database of all the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of subscribers that will go live on October 1st. And this is a big comprehensive system, so it's a big deal. So next Monday and Tuesday are the tests. We strap ourselves in, get our seatbelts on. It has come out nice again today. I don't know. We need a light behind this so you can see it. I don't know. Maybe if I put my hand in there, I don't know. This is now pretty much wet paper. I can't say soaking wet, but it's moist. But it's moistened in a beautifully smooth way. I don't know can you see my hand or not? I don't know. So the paper now is wet and translucent. And ideally it should be perfectly smoothly wet. No weak places, no strong places. And we are getting pretty good at this. The earliest sizing I did years ago, it was an absolute freaking mess. I couldn't control the brush over the surface of the paper at all. But this is nice. Do the clothespins leave a mark? Yes, they leave a mark. Turns out the prints we will be making from these sheets of paper will be trimmed. The natural edges that you see here will all be trimmed off as part of the production process as we go forward. There are some Japanese prints made with the selvage, the edge, still left in place. The print series we're making this year is not like that, so this zone is going to be trimmed off. But even having said that, we are using clips that have no teeth. The clips they're specially made for hanging ladies' underwear, and they have no teeth. But yes, there is a mark, because they are squeezing the paper, and the paper doesn't dry actually. When we take the clips off, when I take this paper down tomorrow morning, there will be 3 tiny little wet spots on each one. There's a little bit of moisture still underneath those clips, but it's peaceful work, I'll be doing it today all day. This is the first of what will be 3 batches today. It's okay, I got lots to think about. Once the stream is down, I'm going to crank up my BBC iPlayer, and I will be listening to music while I do this. And today, because the printers aren't here, I can actually crank it up. I've got a Bluetooth speaker bar. It's one of those bars, that you probably put behind your TV or something. I've got one of those here in the next room. So I'll crank up some music and have a peaceful day by myself here doing sizing. I have to go around the building every once in a while because it's heavy rain today. We do have leaks in this building, and there are 3 or 4 spots that I have to check during the day, during the heavy rain. If it does start to come in, I'm not quite sure what I'll be able to do about it beyond grabbing a bucket, but we do have leaks here. Now, if we were making prints with the selvage, and we do, some of the Shinhanga prints we make, the Hasui prints we are making from the doi blocks, the selvage at the top is left. And if you look really carefully on some of those prints, you might be able to see places where the clip actually squeezed the paper. We're not bothered about that at all. It's part of the manufacturing process. And the selvage up there, that area of the paper, it's not smooth and neat and clean. It's rough and ragged. So it doesn't matter if in a finished print a couple of little very tiny flat spots showed. Nobody on this planet is ever going to notice that. Or if they did, it would be look, you can see the spot where the sizing was done. Look at this, Whatever, half a dozen sheets more, we're done. Half a dozen or so. If I flip this one, let's see, let's do this. You should be able to see, if I show you the other end of this. See the translucency a little better? I'm trying to find the right angle. There you go. Here's my hand. So this is wet paper now. Shouldn't fool around too much. Beautifully, beautifully, beautifully soft, wet washi paper. Okay, last pair. Okay, there we go. Let's take a peek at it. Of course, this is not watertight or airtight. It's just simply, we've got this here. People go in and out of the room, so this is here to sort of stop the airflow from banging back and forth against the sheets. Okay, there we are. It's 9:35, so there's certainly no time for a show and tell here today. So we'll save that show and tell for Monday. About that Tchaikovsky symphony. At the time he was writing that thing, he got into the habit of doing something interesting with his composition. Once you hear this, you can never unhear it. So I'm talking about Tchaikovsky's Fifth Symphony, especially the first movement. Go to YouTube, look it up. And enjoy. I shouldn't have done this. I really shouldn't have done this. I'll see you on Monday morning. Thanks very much, guys. Bye for now. See you later. I should have done